Chapter 5. Home is where the heart is. There's no place like home. Dorothy, the Wizard of Oz. Jack lived on Elm Street, or as he saw it, the armpit of Ballinger. The cracked and pockmarked street was lined with small homes, all of them falling apart because the owners were either too old or too indifferent to take care of them. Jack pulled in front of his parents' yellow two-story bungalow. Shrubs and flowers lining the driveway, once carefully tended, had been choked to death by weeds and ivy over the summer. The grass was shaggy and unkempt, and a little dogwood at the corner of the yard had shed all its leaves and stood naked as a skeleton. Jack noticed their mailbox sitting at a 45-degree angle, the box smashed in on one side as it had been for months. Up the driveway, partially parked on the lawn, was his father's white work van. Ballinger Electrical Company, scraped and faded along the side and back. A dent matching the size of the mailbox branded the right fender. He opened the door. It was never locked anymore, and stepped inside to the sound of the kitchen phone ringing. He entered through a narrow, dark hallway into the kitchen and looked at the caller ID. Unknown. Jack felt his heart flutter and tighten as though someone was squeezing it. He took a deep breath, cocking his head to either side like a boxer warming up, and snatched the phone off the hook. Hello? Jack. His mother's voice was meek and coy. Hey, how's it going, Mom? Jack asked casually, leaning against the kitchen counter. How are you? I'm fine. We're fine. Dad grilled some steaks and we're just hanging out. She was silent for a moment. How's school? They let me skip a few classes because I tested out of them. Jack now wandered about the kitchen, clanking the plates and turning on the water at the sink. How's the writing? She sounded like she had all these questions written in bullet points on a pad of paper. Still writing. How's my old tape recorder holding up? I use a digital one now, Jack said, checking the grit under his nails. You can't even buy cassette tapes anymore. Good, she sighed as though about to confess something, and Jack let the silence hang between them. It wasn't bothering him at all. In fact, he was feeling pretty good about himself, the best he'd felt all day. So your father's okay? Dad's great. He's been jogging before and after work. Sometimes he and I go hiking, but most of the time we're both pretty busy with life. He's been hiking? Yeah. He's talking about taking up kayaking in the spring. Jack opened a bag of barbecue potato chips and popped one in his mouth, crushing it loudly into the phone. I just can't believe it, his mother said, and Jack pictured the shocked expression on her face. Believe it. Anyway, I gotta run. Good night, Jack. Jack hung up the phone and fell into a daze. The type you get when your brain is tired of processing and goes on standby. He unconsciously ran the phone along his cheek, the plastic contour soft where it fit the side of his face perfectly. It could pass for a cool hand. Almost. In the background, he heard the faint sounds of a TV commercial. He did the few dishes in the sink. He pulled out a Betty Crocker cookbook and ingredients he'd gotten from the store over the weekend. 45 minutes later, he juggled 2 steaming plates of chicken parmesan and 2 bowls of salad, 2 glasses of water shoved under his arms. He entered the living room, where his dad, Lawrence, sat in his lazy boy recliner, a slightly overweight, middle-aged version of Jack. His hair was graying on the sides and thinning on top, leaving the peninsula of a widow's peak. He was in his undershirt and sweatpants, intently watching a rerun of Law & Order Special Victims Unit. His wife's favorite show, his new nightly routine. Hey, Lawrence said, not breaking from the TV screen. Hey, Dad. Jack set the plates down carefully on the couch, pulled a wood TV tray from the corner of the room, set it up beside his dad, and placed the plate of chicken, the salad, and the water on it. Have a good day at school? Yep. Jack's parents had separated earlier that year. His mom, Elaine, left home in a sudden and shocking decision to pursue a journalism career she felt she'd missed out on. There was no fighting or threats. She just said she was unhappy, felt tied down, and had received an exciting offer from some guy from high school living in New York City. Jack had no doubt that whoever the guy was, she was probably living with him and working to start a new family, the one she wanted to begin with. Jack's father was, as his busted old van stated, an electrician. He was painfully introverted and had become a workaholic since Elaine's leaving. He had been a good father, and Jack's mother had been a great mom, but the change had rocked their family like a tornado from a perfectly blue sky. Lawrence went into a paralyzed state after Elaine left, and more than 3 words a day from him was pretty good. Jack always made a point of protecting his dad from his mother's predictable phone calls. She called once a week, and it was normally late in the afternoon, when she knew they would both be home. Jack dropped his backpack and dinner off in his bedroom and went out to pick up his dad's work shirt and pants lying in the hallway. He dumped them in the hamper and headed back to his room. His room had been a library for the crazy hermit who previously owned the house. There were built-in bookshelves, floor to ceiling across one wall, and very little space for anything else. Jack had managed to squeeze in a double bed and his grandmother's old desk, on which he placed his computer and a bobblehead statue of Victor Hugo. He tried to call Deb to apologize, but she didn't answer. He flicked Hugo in the head, and the enlarged cranium gyrated as an argument started sparking in his brain. How could she be so easily controlled? Because you put her in that spot. No, Thurman did. You know you did, you jackass. You don't need Deb. Don't let her get to you. Yes, you do. You're in love with her. Shut up. I'm going to destroy Delilah. Who the hell is Delilah? He removed Delilah's article from his pocket and skimmed it, but his mom's phone call and thoughts about Deb made attacking Delilah feel more like a chore, at least for the moment. He told himself Delilah's article wasn't worth reading again, and he took great pains to crumple it into a tight wad and shoot it into the wastebasket beside his door. Jack then tried to write while chomping on chicken. He bounced between an article in the works, a short story about a boy lost in the mountains, and his personal journal, but nothing was coming. He had made it a habit to write 4 pages of something every day, and recently those pages had been vicious gossip columns or cynical opinion pieces. He didn't know where they came from, but night after night, words poured out of him from some black place in his heart. A heat washed through him, chasing away guilt and self-pity until he'd convinced himself he had a right to judge, convict, and condemn. Every time Jack tried to focus, Deb was there, looking like he'd punched her. He might as well have. No chasing the guilt away tonight. No getting lost in the writing. Just him and his thoughts, forced to relive his stupidity and selfishness as it slowly ate him alive. It was midnight when he walked down the hall to the living room and turned off the television. His dad was fast asleep in the recliner. He hadn't slept in his bed since Elaine left. Jack pulled a lever at the side of the chair so that it slowly, fully reclined. He unfolded a blanket he'd grabbed from the linen closet, draped it over his dad, and headed back into his room. He was about to turn out his light when he remembered his tape recorder, the one he'd told his mom he no longer had. He pulled it out of his backpack, along with the copy of The Guardian, and set them in front of himself on the desk. As he rewound the tape, he flipped back to the Laurel High article, and the picture of the school, the bodies, the police officer, and a group of students standing in the background, mourning the loss of their friends. The tape made a scribbling sound, like a discussion between 2 cartoon chipmunks, as it queued up to before Nina and her friends entered the bathroom. He pressed play and heard girl chatter muffled by the rush of flushing toilets and running sinks. "Nina, who's that new girl?" Bridget asked. "Nobody. I was just showing her around." Nina's voice was sharp. "She's gorgeous, but she looks so out of it. Is she on drugs?" Jenny said. "Yeah, what's with the all-black look?" another girl asked. "I wouldn't say those things if I were you." "She's very talented," Nina said. "She's hot. That's probably her only talent," another girl said spitefully. "We'll see," Nina said. "What's her name again?" Bridget asked. The bathroom door opened. The girls instantly became quiet, except for Nina. "Hi, Delilah," she said, and suddenly the tape went silent. Jack picked up the recorder and looked it over. Did the tape stop? He fast-forwarded a little and pressed play. It was blank. He fast-forwarded some more. Silence. He did this almost to the end of the tape, until he realized someone had stopped the recording. That's impossible. He turned the recorder over to check the batteries. When he flicked the battery casing off, a small piece of folded paper fell out at his feet. "I didn't put that there," Jack muttered aloud, as if someone had accused him of it. He picked up the scrap, and as he unfolded it and saw the words, he froze. On the paper, in red pen, someone had neatly written, "I know you are listening."